All right, welcome to the latest episode of the Organic Fitness Podcast with myself, Coleman Power. I have my latest guest here in front of me, most certainly Gerry from the likes of the King of Kombucha. How are or
Kefir.
more certainly Kefir. And you nearly messed up starting off straight away. So, Gerry, most certainly welcome to the show.
Thanks a million, Coleman. Delighted to be here. We had great shots last week at the screening, which was brilliant to be at, of the longest Mizzen to Malonhead film, which was it was just, that was we're talking about lengths of shows and podcasts and movies. That's 1 hour. It's a brilliant 1 hour, and you get the message across. And it's a funny, humorous story as well. So really enjoyed that, and it was great to be there.
Yeah, for people who haven't seen that yet, that's the longest Malin to Mizzen that is highlighting 10 organic and regenerative farms all across Ireland, and it's been showcased in different areas, with the next one screening in Galway on the 12th of February. You put me on my toes now to remember that off the top of my head.
Good stuff.
That's the 12th of February, 5 p.m. doors open in ATU, and tickets will be available when this podcast comes out very, very shortly. So that's the
Brilliant.
screening of that in itself.
Right. When's it going to be on Netflix?
When's it going to be on Netflix? When we most certainly have a meeting with Netflix. If anyone's out there on the podcast realm, listeners and viewers right now, hook me up with whoever has a connection with either television or TG Car or anything else from Netflix
Yeah.
to TG4. We would love to, I'm going to say, have a chat with you, because that's the whole idea of it, getting it onto the big platforms where there's a wider audience to connect people with the likes of real food. And that's where we met at, and we had most certainly your wonderful product, King of Kefir, at the screening for people to consume, because I don't want the Coke, whatever it is, the black stuff. I don't want the fizzy orange and lemon thing. Very hard not to say the word. I don't want the fizzy orange thing. I just want literally good, healthy foods. All right, whether I'm going to say in any way, shape, or form, from beverages to fruits, vegetables, and meats inclusive.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's how we connected. It's great.
And that is it. I'd love you, I'm going to say, Jerry, to take me back and what got the notion into your head to start off, I'm going to say, to make your product from day one. And what year did you start off?
Yeah, so I studied biotechnology in DCU, so that's fermentation technology. It was novel enough at the time. It's a popular course now, I believe. So that's microbiology with sort of cell culturing, animal cell culturing, chemical engineering, all blended into one. A pretty intense course, and worked in that, studying that. Also, over the years as a teenager, I was always making drinks. The first fermented drink I ever came across was a story my dad told me about his father, my granddad, who I never actually met, unfortunately, but he used to make slow wine every year from the slow berries. Now, how he told me how he saw his dad doing it, my granddad doing it, and that was literally taking slows, putting some sugar in with them, putting water in them, putting them into a jar or bottle, and burying that, and leaving it for months, and it would ferment in the dark. Now, the natural yeast on the slow, like you'd see in grapes, would kick off the fermentation. They need extra sugar because there's not a lot of sugar in the slow, as you know, and it's really stringent as well. So you'd leave that to ferment. Now, hopefully the container doesn't burst with the pressure. You'd have to have a light cap on it, but I went and did that when I was 12. Now, coming from a strict northern family, my mum was a teetotaler and she wouldn't let me taste it. She refused. Oh yeah, so dad drank it. Either he was being super polite, or I loved the smell of it. I was just fascinated. It wasn't the alcohol aspect. It was just sitting there watching those little berries, which had a white covering on them, which was a yeast, natural yeast. I didn't understand it at the time. And how that started bubbling and fermenting away on its own. I just totally mesmerized by it. And that kind of got me on the journey. So I used to do a lot of foraging, making country wines then, which technically you can't call a fruit wine a wine, because that has to be made from grapes. That's when you get into European stuff. So country wine is taking, say, my dad used to make rhubarb wine. That's an actually really good one to make. It's a really tasty one. Rhubarb wine and any hedgerow stuff. Elderflower is obviously a popular one. The year before I started in this journey in 2012. I got made redundant from a chemical contractor, and I sat at home going, I don't want to be on the road anymore. I was working sites all over the place, all over Ireland, a little bit in the UK, chemical sites, pharmaceutical sites, and I thought I wanted to do. I'd always a hunger to do something for myself. I'd looked at a lot of ideas over the years, and I thought, okay, this is my chance now. I've been given a kick to go and do something as an opportunity. So 2012 started developing soft drinks at home because in one of my previous jobs as well, before the chemical contractor, was working with a chemical distributor. We supplied ingredients to food companies, pharmaceutical companies, active ingredients. I was always fascinated with what they were buying. So I used to enjoy looking at the applications of products. Now, we never saw them. We never saw the materials, but excellent company, very, very lovely people there, and nice to work for. But one of the ingredients I saw quite commonly, it was a huge bulk buy by one of the cola companies, a concentrate plant. I won't say who, obviously. Monopropylene glycol, 1,500 tons. That was half of their annual requirement. So 3,000 tons of monopropylene glycol. It is not on the label. It goes in under flavourings. Monopropylene glycol is also commonly used in cosmetics. It's an emulsifier, essentially, an emollient sometimes. And also then in soft drinks, it would be an emulsifier flavour carrier. So oil doesn't mix with water. So any natural flavors or synthetic flavors would float on top of water, like vegetable oil or diesel would in water, etc. You take an emulsifier, something that'll allow the two to mix together and disperse it. So monopropylene glycol is what is used in colas, and those companies we can't name, they use that as a flavor enhancer and carrier. And that's a synthetic petroleum derived ingredient. It's well tested, well proven to be safe, but do you want to be ingesting it? And anybody drinking the vast commercial quantities of soft drinks have really got to go and look at the labels and study up on the labels. For me, so that got me in this journey because I wanted to make a healthy soft drink. So I started in 2012. I was using champagne yeast rather than soda stream to actually carbonate the drink. And then I was playing with, I could see there was kombuchas coming from the States and stuff. And I thought, well, I'm a bit of a contrarian. I always want to do something different from everybody else. And that's reflected in the naming of my flavors in the beginning too. I didn't choose things that people wanted or liked. I went and chose things that I thought were different just for the sake of it. But that was a bad commercial decision. But I've learned all these things since. But natural ingredients. So how do you take like rose and hibiscus? How do you turn that into flavoring in a drink? But you go back to first principles. You make a tisane or a lower temperature tea. You don't want to boil it. You don't want to boil herbs in herbal teas because that blows off all their flavors and the compounds that you don't want. It pulls out the bitterness too. So we would unfortunately, we don't have any commercial quantities of hibiscus in Ireland or rose, and I'm organic as well. So organic's amazing, but it also restricts you in the ingredients you can source locally. In a way, when you talk about regenerative farming, which you do a lot, because they're not organic registered, I can't use those materials in my drinks. So I have to import an awful lot of stuff. But anyway, that's hibiscus. That's Egyptian hibiscus petals and Persian rose flowers. And we do a tea of that, and that flavors the drink. So it's a lovely, gentle flavor we get. And the other thing, because we're not using natural flavors, one of the really, aside from the fermented benefits, it's the molecules that come from those plants. And there's one step from the plant to our canned product. That's an infusion, a tea, a tisane. We're getting all the polyphenols. These are anti-inflammatory compounds. Now, just disclaimer, I'm not a nutritionist, not a dietitian. I'm just a nerd who loves making drinks, but I do love researching products. And we're trying to minimize the steps between the plant and what you purchase in the can or the bottle, and make sure you get all the beneficial plant compounds in that process as well. So you're getting, the ambition is to clean up labels. That's what I started doing. And this is my way of contributing to that. So I've been doing it now for 10 years. I've made a lot of mistakes in the way, but I still love what I'm doing and enjoy the people that we're selling to and talking to.
Yeah, well, you're definitely on the right track, and it was a pleasure to meet you in person there very recently. But even what we'll do is I'll break it down to as simple as we possibly can for those people who haven't ever heard of, I'm going to say, the likes of Kefir, it's a natural fermented drink which benefits your beneficial gut bacteria. That's kind of a buzzword, gut friendly bacteria right now. And those are things that are able to produce serotonin. That's your happy hormone, right? Being the nutritionist, I'll put out all those lovely buzzwords from a beverage that people are looking for really more than anything. They're looking for something that's fizzy, right? And that's exactly what the likes of the product that you will certainly have. And I know flavors are massively important for, I'm going to say, and what you have of different ranges of them. Yeah, can you even explain or even tell us a little bit more about all the different ranges? My favorite is probably the mint and cucumber, right? Say that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just texted Tanner, my colleague, to bring me in the grains in one of the containers just to show you what they look like live, to show we're using the live grains. You meant cucumber, mint, and thyme. Removing the word thyme from the label because it confuses people. So it'd be cucumber, mint, same product, identical. It's a 70% spearmint, 30% peppermint blend. Predominantly French mints because again, I can't get local Irish commercial quantities of organic mint. Make a tea out of those, low temperature, because like my missus, she's Slovakian. I remember years ago at home, she drinks a lot of mint tea, peppermint tea, say, and she said, go and put on the kettle, put on the mint tea. And here he is here. That's some of the grains. That's what they look like. Cheers, man. The mint tea, I was throwing boiling water on it when we're dating, and she's like giving out to me, scolding me for putting boiling water onto mint. But basically, if you look at the temperatures of the compounds in mint, you have menthol, and then there's peppermint has a different compound. We keep forgetting the name on it. It's quite a it's a more volatile, lighter, sweeter compound. When you spearmint has a much lighter compound. Can you imagine the taste of spearmint?
In my mouth, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot sweeter, a lot lighter, but also with that is the temperature above a certain temperature in the 80 degrees, you blow off those oils. They go off in steam and you lose the flavor. So in the beginning as well, I was putting on these big pots of mint to flavor my drinks, and I was making it in the chocolate factory for a number of years. That's where I developed it, built a small lab in there. That's on King's Inn Street beside Bolton Street College. That's a whole other story. That place is fabulous. It's all startups. Like there's a community in there, of creative artisans and so on. Anyway, the building would smell great. Parnell Street would unusually smell nice and minty for a while too, but a couple of weeks later, my drink, there'd be no mint taste in it. So I very quickly learned each herb has its own specific temperature, and you got to respect that, or you lose the flavor and nose on the drink if you boil the water as such. So there was a lot of learnings like that along the process as well. It's not, you can go out and buy flavoring synthetic and natural in little bottles, and you take a drop of that and you put it into your tank and off you go. And that's what is done commercially with the big guys. Natural flavorings also have emulsifiers. Now in a lot of cases it's alcohol, which is fine, but you could have in some other flavorings you can have, I mentioned monopropylene glycol, you can have sorbitols, glycerine is not so bad, but you can have a wide mix of inflammatory compounds, let's call them, that would cause your gut health disruption. So we carefully choose all our ingredients that we're not upsetting your gut microbiome. That's the key to what we're producing. And it ends up with a light, natural flavored drink with gentle sparkle as well.
Yeah, I'd love you, I'm going to say, to maybe explain the difference between your product from the other kefirs that are out there at this moment in time. We're kind of touching on a little bit,
Yeah.
but even to further segment.
Yeah, it's a minefield for the consumer when it comes to processed foods. We all know that at this stage. There's people doing brilliant work out there highlighting those issues. When it comes to labels, it's nearly what they're not saying on the label as opposed to what they are putting as a statement in the label. You have to be very well educated to understand what's in your product or what is being hidden in your product. When it comes to fermented drinks, the best statement I can tell people to look for is, like, I don't know if you can, it's probably not going to focus. It says unfiltered and unpasteurized. You'll see a lot of products say unpasteurized and live and raw, but they're not saying unfiltered on the label. So what they're doing is they're essentially sterile filtering the product. So pasteurization is the most common way to kill bacteria and preserve a drink. So when you're buying a live drink, kombucha, water kefir, etc., milk kefir, a lot of them do pasteurize them for shelf life purposes. Now, that's fine, but when they're pretending that there's live cultures in there, that's where the issue is. When you see unfiltered up there, that's when you know you're getting the real thing. So I'd say for people to look for unfiltered and unpasteurized. If one of those two words is missing, that's what they're actually doing to the drink.
Very good. And that's making it as clear as anything for people who are the consumers. But a lot of the people are nearly in a rush in itself. But we can literally, say, guarantee you that your product is something that's of a high quality and that I've consumed and would recommend, and it's an organic product as well, which is not only beneficial for us, it's also beneficial for the environment.
Absolutely. It's we want organic because, well, you talk about it a lot. You talk about the mission statement is really to educate people and to keep them to clean food, away from the chemicals, the sprays, the damage they are causing. Actually, I dug a name out in a paper. Have you come across the one by UCG when they studied glyphosate in the Irish population in 2022?
I may have even further remind one.
Yeah, so in 2022, it went to press. It went to press in 2022, 2019 to 2020. 68 families, farm and non-farm, and for glyphosate and AMPA, which is a byproduct, isn't it? It breaks down into 26% detection rate in people in urine samples.
It's one of those things that people don't realize. There's an abundance of it found in every part of the human body because we're consuming it in our water, in our porridge, in our bread, in all the daily consuming food items, and it builds up over time. It may be okay to tolerate it. Our body may be able to tolerate a small, let's say, percentage of it. And I've covered that in my own book, which goes through extensive research similar to studies like that, just giving people information, right? Information is one thing, putting it into practice is the other. The closer you can get to a single ingredient food, and or it's something that hasn't been sprayed top to toe, which means if it's registered organic, they cannot use the likes of that harsh chemical known as glyphosate, which is the active ingredient in Roundup, right? So Roundup is that thing that people spray on even the peripheral edges of your garden, your patio. But not only that, it's also sprayed on, wheat, grain, and a numerous amount of vegetables, inclusive of non-organic potatoes.
Yeah, there was another study done by UCG as well in 2017, 2018. Urine biomonitoring 50 non-occupational adults, which is important. So people who aren't directly involved with spraying in their job or commercially, etc., and did 20% positive tests in their blood and the urine sample. Sorry. Now, it's below European health limits, but the fact that it's coming up near that in itself is scary. It's not, isn't it? It's extraordinary the quantity of it being used. Oh, like there's a lot of good guys detailing that out there. You'll get it on social media all the time. But the fact that it's even using for desiccating crops before they're harvested, which is drying them further before they're harvested, is just, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. There was a Dutch doctor I follow. He released a paper. This is no proof by any stretch of the imagination. This doesn't prove anything, this statement, but he showed the use over the last 30 years in Europe and also the rate of increase of dementia and diseases like that in the population in Europe. There's a chart they go parallel, I guess here, the usage and the rate of dementia in our continent of Europe. It doesn't prove anything, that statement, but it does make you question the usage of it. And will it be proved that it does cause those diseases? I can't answer that. I'm not saying, I wouldn't dare say they do, but my God, it makes you think. It does make you think.
Yeah. And the idea is we used to be healthier as a generation. And we all know ourselves, right? When we're eating better foods and drinking better beverages, right? It's something that we feel better out the other side.
Yes.
You don't need a peer-reviewed document or someone doctor with a tie or a dicky or an MS to tell you that you feel well when you're eating well.
Absolutely. You'd have studied this an awful lot more than me, but say from the yogi thinking, they would say only eat things that make you feel well and make you feel good about yourself. And isn't that the simple rule of thumb to go by? It doesn't have to be complicated. Like, if people are honest, if they go for a fast food restaurant like the Big M or any of those other guys, how do they feel the next hour after they eat it? If they actually think about it, I'm vegetarian at this stage. I'm vegetarian maybe 10 years or something, but there's a whole discussion on that. But it's not. I feel good after what I eat, and that's the main thing. And that's all I want is what I eat. I feel good. Like when you go to the snack aisle in any convenience store, Central or Mace, what people are presented with is just blows my mind, frustrates the shit out of me. Excuse my French, I might have to edit that out. It drives me insane when I go in there and see what is packed up and stacked up and lined up in lovely, colorful language, especially with energy drinks. That is a whole other
Get the fish in itself.
SH1T show. But again, it's the presentation to the public that they're being sold. And this actually, I'm going off on a tangent here, but as a product, I have to figure out now, and this is what I'm being mentored on, is what is the moment somebody has? What is that experience they have when they pick up the hibiscus and rose and drink it? When are they drinking it and why are they drinking it? But how does it make them feel? When you look at the billions and billions that are spent on marketing, they're selling you a life experience. So with the big colas, it's you're sold a happier life. It doesn't matter what's in the product. It's the packaging, the branding, the image is you're being sold a happy lifestyle. The energy drinks, when you see the young lads, teenagers walking down the road carrying their cans, they have a strut about them. They're sold that, let's go do things. We're going to take on the world in an aggressive manner. And, you're a rebel, you're different. And that's why they buy it. It doesn't taste good. But they are sold this image and marketing. And that's what we're up against. These companies have billions and billions. And the way and here's us with our little budgets and our little Instagram accounts. And we're trying to convince people differently. But it is a war. It's a real war. It's a real battle. And thankfully, people are starting to come around and look for different. But the psychology behind it all is phenomenal. The influence, how they
It's influencing people for the better is, I suppose, what I would be and put myself into that category. And I'm going to say, the cans after we met in person there up in Dublin, I actually brought as a gift to my 4-year-old niece, who has been brought up in quite a healthy environment, especially hanging around with me for the most part. And she now sees that as the treat, as alternatives, which are black or orange or green and whatever in color, is something that she going, oh, can I have one of those after dinner? I was like, if you're good, you most certainly can. And that's kind of then the treat. It's the fizz. It's the whole excitement of the crisp opening of the can. That's maybe a little bit of marketing info on my side to you, because it's whatever most certainly that you are told it's good for, whether it gives you wings or it gives you a boost.
Yeah.
That's literally it. And this is something that's good. And as I say, as the adult to a 4-year-old, this is something that gives you energy, right? This makes you feel good. And then she inevitably cracks it open, pours it into a glass and starts drinking it and loves it and is boosted from it. And the idea is whatever thoughts become things, but there is benefits to it being a natural probiotic. But that's what I'm doing it for, and why I have it also on the likes of the show, because it is a healthy alternative. It's not about eating or drinking less, it's about eating and drinking more of the right type of foods and beverages.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. And that's what the education piece is. And my God, we're gonna bang that drum until I can't anymore. But it's a passion project as much as, and that's how it starts out. You really want to make an impact, and that's what we feel we're doing. We're cleaning up labels with our product, and we want people to delve into what it is they're eating. Like, I don't know if I can. I research extensively other ingredients and drinks, and to make it simple for people too. We've talked about unfiltered, unpasteurized. The other thing, you should never buy anything if it has the word preservative in it. Just walk away. And that becomes challenging when you go into the big discounter stores or any of the supermarkets. Uh, Hummus, there's a minefield for people. Hummus. We all love hummus. It's a huge product. It's a massive product. There are some brilliant hummus producers out there, even in we're in the Simply Better range in Dunn's, which has been brilliant for us. That's the mint and lemon there. And they have some amazing hummus, small artisan producers there. There's no preservatives in sight. They have good ingredients, but when you go into the wider market and you look for a hummus, it becomes difficult unless you have to search and you have to study and make sure you don't end up with something like preservatives. So you have potassium sorbate, sodium benzoate. Those are the two common ones that you'll see out there. But the research there, this is the elephant in the room for me with regards to ingredients. And they talk about ultra processed foods a lot. They talk about the refined carbohydrates, the oils that are used. Whether it's controversial like palm oil, etc., or the method that the oils are extracted, that's really the problem, and how they're handled to the food before the food. The preservatives are the ones for me that are doing the most damage, and there's small amounts of research now trickling out on that in the microbiome gut field, where how they're interacting is that they're causing inflammation basically in your gut microbiome, and it's like you're breaking down that mucus membrane, that mucus layer that's protective of your gut lining, that houses the bacteria, the good bacteria. You're attacking that by consuming drinks with preservatives and foods with preservatives. And I suppose I can't actually quantify this, but I could best compare it to consuming mild antibiotics every day, 2 or 3 times a day. You're ingesting something that's inflaming your gut lining and is breaking down the mucus and affecting the bacteria there and affecting the cell walls lining the membrane itself of your gut. Like, I remember talking to a friend recently. He works in a particular company in town, and one of his staff members is a young guy, probably in his late 20s, very active in sports, has Crohn's disease. And the first question I asked my friend was, yeah, what's he drinking a day when he's sitting beside you? He drinks 2 to 3 cans of that Monster energy drink. And I'm like, and he'll work his ass off for 3 weeks and then he'll be off for a couple of days, this young lad. And I'm like, Ross, does he not see what's contributing here to his Crohn's? How he's blind to it. He doesn't even see it, the young lad. I'm not saying definitely not saying that that's the cause of Crohn's, but
It's definitely not healthy. What age is he, Jay? What age?
That guy's about 28. Mind-boggling. It's like there's a lot of horror stories out there. Some of them exaggerated, of course, but when you're having discomfort inside in your metabolism and in your gut, look at what you're consuming. First of all, the big part is stress. That's a big player in all of this. How you feel about yourself. How do you talk to yourself? How do you handle yourself on a daily basis? What you put yourself through, what your diet's like, then comes along with that hand in hand. So I got, over the years, we get a lot of inquiries and a lot of questions about will this help my gut health? Will it help with my Crohn's disease, my IBS? Yes.
Do you have any testimonials from clients or customers?
Yes,
I'd love to know some of those.
Well, again, a 30-year-old guy from Cavan who's a welder. This was my first one actually in about 2019. Came along to me and rang me and said, Gerry, fucking miraculous recovery from Crohn's. I'm like, great. Said, any chance you could tell me what else you did? What did you do? What did you use our drink for? He says, well, I replaced drinking Coca-Cola with that. Full Coca-Cola, sugar, yep. And I stopped having my full breakfast roll in the morning. He had one of them every day. And then he changed the sandwich at lunchtime too. And he said his Crohn's receded dramatically. And I said, well, look, as much as I'd love to take full credit for that, no, you've done all the right things there. It's the full dietary change that actually helped you there. It's not just, I'd love to take full claim on that. And maybe it should have been more astute commercially, but you can't, so what our drinks do is they go hand in hand with a better lifestyle, with changes you want to make, with people who want to improve their lifestyle. this is definitely going to help as a replacement, a drop-in replacement for all those other soft drinks. It'll put you in a happier place. Your body will feel better out of it and happier out of consuming these instead of the commercial soft drinks. And that's the common experience that I have with people. It's like, yeah, you don't just make one change. This is part of a change. This is a part of a better you. Yeah, a new road to a new better you. But it should be used in conjunction with those dietary changes, as you know very well. It's about the food you eat. That's the person you are. And going back to, I mentioned yogi traditions. What is it? Every 9 years, every cell in your body is actually replaced fully. You're not the same as you were 9 years ago. Not one single cell in the body is in existence since before that period of time. Now, so everything you eat today is building the new you. Every single item you consume is building the new you every day. So who you're going to be in 6 years time is down to what you've actually eaten on that day, on that moment, what you're snacking on, what you're drinking, what you're having for breakfast, lunch, dinner. That all goes towards the new body that you're building.
You are what you eat is that common phrase.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But they don't. You have to. The physical structure that you have is down to everything you consume. So, and I don't think people understand that enough. Your body replaces itself. Every cell's replaced. You're not physically the same person you were 10 years ago.
Yeah, and even further expand on that, there's more, I'm going to say, beneficial microorganisms, trillions and billions of them hid in your gut than there are cells in your body, because some people say we're more gut than we are human.
Yeah, there is. It was once a few years ago, somebody put out that it was like 10 times the number in your gut as there were cells in your body, but I think it's like 1.4 times. But it's still massive.
That's
They're more.
It's more.
It's more. It's crazy.
It's really over a couple of million.
No, a couple of trillion. As it is. Yeah. They bought the mass of the microbiome they got. It's really a complex space. So there's the other thing you get asked very commonly: what impact does the bacteria in the King of Kefir product have on my gut microbiome? The truth of the matter is that the science is still a little bit behind on it. As far as I can see, the only one that actually acclimatizes itself to your gut microbiome and the one that lasts is, and this is something you can't repeat because it only happens once. Well, it should only happen once, and that's from your mother's milk. There's a bacteria in that actually sets itself in your microbiome. After that, it's all down to diet. All the researchers show it's diet. There's a lot of people out there making claims around different kefirs, milk kefirs, water kefirs, kombuchas, but the reality is none of it really sets itself for long term in your gut microbiome. But what is shown and the benefit is shown is that it's the fermentation metabolites. So as this ferments up the plants, it's producing a lot of unique, useful metabolites that are anti-inflammatory potentially, and also that are good for feeding the bacteria that do live and acclimatize themselves into your gut. And so the polyphenols, as we mentioned, are extremely important. They are the food for successful bacteria to grow in your gut. The survival rate of bacteria from a can or a bottle or a yogurt or a milk is very, very low. And after 6 months if you get tested after 6 months of stop taking them, the bacteria did show initially won't show up. Your own gut climate will evolve and grow its own bacteria. So this is where probiotic tablets, they're the freeze-dried bacteria. They don't have any symbiotic relationship with each other. They're all grown in individual fermenters. They're powdered, dried, packed together. They don't have any relationship with each other. So what I mean by that is that there has to be a synergistic relationship with the bacteria to survive in the gut. They all have to look out for each other. They have to share metabolites, share information, share defense, share food sources. One byproduct from one digestion of a fiber is a metabolite for another. They all work very, very closely together, and they're netted and matrixed really tight together. That's the same with the water kefir and kombuchas. These jelly beads are they're a matrix. They're like a spongy matrix where one bacteria, Lactobacillus hilgardi, takes the sugars and um, makes a dextrin, which is a long chain polysaccharide. It's like a jelly bead, but it's porous. And then all the other uh, friendly bacteria live together in association together. So they're all consuming different metabolites that are beneficial to each other. And that's what symbiotic bacteria means when it comes to water kefir, any of the wild scobies, symbiotic cultures, bacteria and yeast, kombucha, mother vinegar, milk kefir. Your gut works the same way. So putting in a freeze dried single origin, whether it's proved to be probiotic or not, into your gut, it just won't last. It can't compete with the existing bacteria that are there. The big thing to do is feed them fiber. So lots of veg, lots and lots of veg. And you talk about that a lot. You know all about that a lot more than me. It's kind of just feed them veg. Veg is fiber. Veg, when they talk about fiber, soluble, insoluble, they're basically starches that we cannot digest. So we don't inherently have the enzymes to cut them into simple sugars, but our bacteria do. So when you present those fibers to our bacteria, they go, "Oh, that's food." They have the enzymes. They go snip, snip, snip. Simple sugars. Off we go. Bang, and they grow and thrive in that. So there's a symbiotic relationship between us and our bacteria. We have to respect that relationship. If we disrespect it and eat disruptive foods and drinks, ultra processed foods again, that disrupts that balance of bacteria in our gut and our microbiome. It upsets our immunity. It upsets us physically. It upsets your day emotionally. So you don't thrive as well. So plant fibers are number one, as far as I can see from all the research and all the literature out there. It's plant fibers all day long. That's what you'll thrive off.
Yeah. The best of foods, the best of beverages. I
Yeah,
must ask you a specific question in relation to the flavor of the
yeah,
likes of your beverages. So, what is the giving it the natural sweetness and kind of hinting at a product?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I should have brought some in here to show to the camera. It's plant leaf called stevia, and I I didn't bring some to that workshop or to that screening. I should have. It's fantastic. I have 11 or 12 of them growing in my balcony window in Dublin. The plants, they look like a mint plant. They're hard to germinate because they're a tropical plant, South American plant. Now, I make a tea out of the leaf, not from my window, but I buy an organic grown, small cooperatively farmed in Europe. Um, this leaf, I bring it in bulk, and then what we do is we put it into a giant tea bag and actually boil that one, and you get this green tea that is super sweet. And you're getting so the some people don't like stevia. That's fine. It's not sugar. It's never going to replace sugar, and it has a sweetness that's different. It plays differently, and but the compounds are perfectly safe. And the polyphenols from the tea, the green tea, all the benefits with that as well. So we put a little bit of that into our drink, and that's what gives us the back sweetness, as they call it. And I think I found a Japanese research paper, and now it was that cell culture quantities where they were fermenting stevia leaf, and it was shown to be the compounds, the metabolites again, the compounds that were put out by the fermentation were shown to be good in vitro and against particular tumors. But that's lab scale testing. But I mean, if anything ever comes out in the future, I don't know. We'll see. But and I know I wouldn't be cleaning things again. But I know what I'm working with is nice and clean and safe and clean label, and it's a leaf, and I love the leaf. It's a lovely leaf, and it goes into all our drinks, and it's not sugar. But have you? Here's another paper. I'll send this one on to you. It's a very obscure paper. It's from a thesis done in about 1973. And again, you know, as the more you hang around in the industry, the more you see that research is driven by money. And when when you're pushing against sugar, you're not going to get a lot of industrial support, I guess, back then anyway. Um, they did a test where they put in, it was a brilliant test. They took a number of people, gave them in the thesis, took quantities of sugar Basically the same as one soda, 2 sodas, 3 sodas. Then tested what are neutrophils. I think that's like 60 to 70% of your white blood cells. That's the dominant type of white blood cell. They tested their activity after 20, 30, 1 hour, 3 hours, 5 hours after sugar consumption. After 30 minutes of like 2 cans of soda, the quantity of sugar back then, you had a 50% reduction in activity of your neutrophils, your white blood cells. They just disengaged. Extraordinary. It's so when you take a sugary bar, sugary drink, you're suppressing the activity of your immune system. That's what that, and it's an old paper, but it stands very, very well up to modern scrutiny. It's very factual. It's very well controlled. And I just my head exploded at that one. I only found that one this year. It was like your immune system is suppressed with sugar consumption, and it would explain so much.
It certainly does. And I tell you, I love how, I'm going to say, passionate and more so in depth that you get into reading all the different studies and knowing exactly what's in your product for the most part. And I could literally talk to you all day, Gerry. But I want you to let, I'm going to say, the listeners and the viewers of this podcast, where is the best place for them to find your product across Ireland? So tell them, please.
Yeah, we're in the core of our customer base was always the independents and organic stores around the country, the independent cafes and shops. That's how I exist, and that's how we have existed as a team here. And then we're in the Food Academy section, the local producer section of Super Value. That's been brilliant to us over the years as well. We're probably in about 70% of the stores nationwide. Some areas are a little bit patchy in, but we're working in that. And then what's been brilliant this year as well is with the last 2 years is Simply Better range. So we're under their own brand, the Simply Better range. We're up there beside the All About Kombucha guys as well on shelf, which is great. So ours would be sugar free, as all our drinks are. But the Simply Better call us out on the label. We're not just manufacturing a brand for somebody else. They're brilliant. They call us out on the label, so they help us small producers too. So yeah, nationwide, I hope at this stage, and also online. We have a tremendous loyal customer base online, and that's brilliant for us as well. We like shipping parcels. We sell full 12 packs online, which is great for us. And yeah,
non-alcoholic beverage for people coming up to Christmas or going into the new year.
Yeah.
who want to, going to say, have in it. And if people are listening and watching this in the summer for barbecues, you name it, because for the most part, people trying to be healthy, it's like the whole cigarette thing. I never smoked, but it's about holding the fag or holding the cigarette or holding the pint glass or the wine glass.
yeah.
When if you pour it into the same thing, it's practically, literally, you're just being part of that event and just the whole social aspect, as opposed to it being a sparkling beverage with alcohol or sparkling beverage without any alcohol.
One last one, new development product, energy drink, based on Gaisha, or I'm going to get told off for pronouncing that incorrectly again. It's an Ecuadorian leaf, and my colleague Connor, who brought it to me, he's New Infusions. He asked me, he brings in this leaf from the Amazon, small community grown plant with lots of caffeine in it. It's a slow release energy drink, so there is lots of caffeine in it, 115 milligrams. It's a water kefir. It's fermented naturally in the can as well. We don't buy in CO2. I keep forgetting to mention that. We don't buy in CO2. We produce our own with the live cultures in the can, and we're using High Bank orchard syrup instead of cane sugar for the fermentation in the can. So our footprint is tiny in comparison to a lot of other drinks. Our carbon footprint. That's a really healthy energy drink. It doesn't spike like other coffees and caffeine drinks do. It's got a slow release curve of polyphenols. With the polyphenols, it enables a slow release of the caffeine. So really interesting product. 5 calories a can as well. Same production process as our other drinks, and that's in about 10 super values or so in Dublin at the moment, and we're hoping to push that out. And it's a great alternative for people looking for a little bit of a boost, a little bit of energy, but doesn't have the downsides of the big mass-produced products. Can I ask you a question, actually?
Of course you can. I love it. I know flipping around.
I have it written down here. That's why I'm jumping over to it. Sustainability. What's that mean to you? Because it's always a challenge for us as a producer. There's a lot of greenwashing of it, but what does sustainability mean on the label anymore? And what is it you look for when you think of sustainable products?
So I have probably mentioned something similar to this. I kind of I'll stick to my guns in itself. Something that's local, something that's Irish, and something that's organic being the gold standard, and it goes in different tiers, right? If you get something in any of those three topics or areas, it's something that's going to say a bit better than buying something from a large company based over in America or Central Europe or anyone else in between. I'm all for the small guy, the underdog, the anyone that which is a producer of a healthy product as an alternative to all the other things that are out there. That would be my understanding and I suppose preference to people to consume things in that sustainable way.
Yeah, so the shortest shipping distance you can possibly achieve with a product, really, I suppose, is a big part of that, isn't it? And then buying locally, buying local veg. Um, that's one of our biggest challenges. Is actually, from a soft drink point of view, is actually getting ingredients that are acceptable as a flavoring, rather than using natural flavorings or synthetic flavorings. How do we get an ingredient that we can use in our drinks that's organic? And that's something I'm trying to crack and bring in more into play. Our main one is, as I say, all the other fermenters out there in the beverages are using cane sugar, imported cane sugar. Comes quite a distance. People say to me, "Oh, it's natural." I'm going, "Well, have you seen how it's processed and do you understand the ugly industrial history it has as well associated with slavery?" Um, we used to have beet sugar here, which was great, and that's gone. But we use apple syrup. It's a hell of a lot more expensive. But I know where it comes from. It's an organic farm. It's Rod and Judy Calder pots. Fantastic in Kilkenny. Love them to bits. Great friends at this stage. Love buying their products, and we use the syrup in our drink to carbonate the drink with the culture. So we're not buying in CO2 and we're not buying cane sugar, but that's what we're prepared to do that because it makes sense for us and it ties in with what we're doing and sustainability as well. And if there's anybody out there that has ingredients they can offer me, whether it's flowers, Irish flowers that are organic or otherwise, please contact me because I'd love to collaborate in that.
Yeah, I love that you've brought that up, and it gets my mind kind of thinking as well because I work with colleges and schools
Yeah.
and young entrepreneurs that would love to go into a role which already, as the fella says, if it's a need for it and you can have the drive to produce the flowers or
Yeah.
the mints in Ireland organically, then you already have, I'm going to say, a viable business because somebody's making and already has a product and is providing a service to the general public. So I love connecting the dots, but this is a great conversation. I 100% will definitely put on my thinking and paddy cap directly after this and see what I can do. But Gerry, it was a pleasure to have you on the likes of the show, and no doubt I'll see you again soon. And definitely you're going to see a hell of a lot more of me consuming these beverages at different events in the near future. Right? And I always say, I'm going to say, stay tuned, stay classy, and get on that good stuff. Thanks, Gerry.